as our big goal, we are doing scientific inquiry. We're looking at the world and saying, what do we notice? What do we know? What do we notice? What do we wonder? And we use this form to help plant that idea in our brain. So knowing something, noticing, and then wondering, and that leads to a scientific question. So I started with modeling and talking about this drink that I drank last week. So this is the material. It's a reference sheet that goes in the science notebook, and this they'll use all year long. So it has to do with taste and smell, texture. I really want students to understand the difference between an observation and an inference. And so our observations are quality, sensory descriptions. We look at the aloe plant, and I describe this. It's kind of like this weird chunky, lumpy texture. So we talk about texture. We look at the color. We look at the flavor, the fact that this has sugar in it, but aloe itself, we wonder. So we get to wondering, is aloe itself sweet? And so what the students had to do after I modeled it was to use lemon juice. Well, I used lemon juice concentrate, water, basil, and I blended it all. Basil, as in the plant that you grow in the garden, that is made for pasta with pesto and other things. Well, now it's being used in drinks. So we used, I used lemonade with blended basil, and everyone got a taste. And they also wrote about what they know about lemonade, basil, and then they got a drink. And they got to write what they noticed. One of the noticings that I felt for myself and several other students felt is that it smelled more like basil, but it didn't taste so much like basil. The lemon was pretty overpowering.
Here's the basil that's growing in my garden that I chose from for the special basil lemonade, and I have some more. It's just doing really well. Here's some and here's some. It's like squatty, but look at those big leaves.
The way I made the basil lemonade was I just used frozen juice concentrate. You can certainly make your own lemonade. This is limeade, but I did use lemonade. And I used a stick blender, although you can use one of these blenders. I just find the stick blenders easier to clean up. And over here is my basil that is rinsed and ready to blend. I don't have to chop it up or anything. Just dry it off a bit. And you know what? I'm a cook who just puts things together most of the time. I don't follow recipes very often. So here I am saying, well, that looks like enough. The whole thing is for your pleasure and investigation. Found the button. Woo! Here we go.
Ew, look at that green color. Woo! 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 I'm doing it one-handed so I can videotape. Woohoo! Let's slow down. Isn't it beautiful? Okay, so I'm gonna blend it a little bit more and then I'm gonna strain it, and that's what we used.
Clearly this is very green basil lemonade, and you may not want that much basil in yours. Woohoo! However, I went for it, and I'm gonna dilute it more with water and more lemonade. Woo! Here's what I used for the basil leaves. Most of us don't want little pieces and fragments of basil in our beverage. So just strain that out and pour it into more lemonade and a little bit more water. Woo! Green basil lemonade. How about that? So we will wrap this lesson up next week, and I hope that your kids use the idea of knowing, noticing, and wondering for a big picture for science inquiry.